Alright, so just start the recording. So we'll have recording after the call, right? Okay. Okay, so today we'll try to discuss more about like uh, the components inside that application, right? So like we call them like Appian design object. So in Appian, you know, uh, any object we created like inside that application is categorized as like a design. We call them like actually Appian design objects. Application contains sets of objects that function together to meet one or several business use cases, right? Application allows you these objects to be transported from one environment to another. So one of the advantage of having application is actually you can create like set of Appian design objects, and then you can move that object from one environment to another environment using like that application. So one of the advantage of application is actually it's nothing. It's a container, right? So you can move the container from one to other, right? So it's easy. Like for example, you have different items. Like for example, like you have like different furnitures. Like maybe you have sofa, chairs, and everything, right? So to transport from one place to another, just if you take them like individually, it will take you like some time, right? But if you put them like in a container and then move it like from one place to another, so it will reduce time, and then it was actually efficient, right? So application actually act as the same thing as a container for us. So we're going to create all the design of the Appian design objects, putting them in the application. If you want to move from one environment to another environment, that means like from development to test environment, from test to UAT, from UAT to production, we can easily export the application and then move them, right? So when you export the application, we are actually just moving the object design object inside that application as well. So each design object provides a specific piece of functionality, and that's we're gonna actually cover today. And each application contains many objects grouped by common purpose, right? So in Appian, each application, each design object is actually has its own specific functionality. So all design objects, data object like record type, data object, record type, data store, CDTs, um, in the process object, process models, process report, replace, or something, all have like their own specific functionality. But when they come together, they will serve us like just to get some kind of like a business use cases, business use functionalities. So each application is also like contains like multiple design objects which grouped by like common purpose. Like when I say common purpose, in our case, all the objects we are going to create in our application vendor management application is actually for the purpose of building a vendor management application, right? So all the application, all the objects inside that vendor management application will be grouped by like common purpose. Or that common purpose is actually creating a vendor management application. All right. Do you have any question, guys? Like feel free to just to stop me like, if you feel lost or something. Yeah, just feel free to stop me and then ask me a question. Okay. Uh, so the first, so I'll try to show you right first thing like just the category, right? So I'm gonna show you like the category of the we categorized Appian design objects like in five things, right? So that one is data objects, like process objects, user objects. That's actually content for some user interaction. So we're gonna go each other like each design objects, role objects, and integration object, and the group object, and like the content management object. So content management object is nothing, but it's kind of like a folder or something, right? Whatever we covered when we create an application. So it's automatically generated. Uh, but we're gonna go through what is the specific object, and then what is actually the advantage or the functionality, specific functionality for that specific design object. So let me grab the designer. Let me go to one of actually the application, right? So the big application. Let me go out from this application. I'll go to like you already have it, this Acme auto application in your workspace as well. So I will try to show you like what is data object, right? So data object is actually record types, data store. So like we're actually learning on the new version of Appian, right? So some of the groups, some of the Appian design objects is actually deprecated, it's removed from the system. But still, I wanna uh, I wanna actually explain like what data store is, what data type, even if like we're not creating this object. I'm gonna explain to you because as when you're actually out for the job, so you will say like you have like 1 year of at least 1 year of experience, right? So if they ask you like what is data store, at least you have to tell like okay, data store is this or this, right? So just for that purpose, I'm gonna explain like what data store, data types, and record types. Mainly like we're gonna focus on the record type, right? So Appian kind of deprecating the CDTs and the data stores, on our like latest version, so we're not able to able to create it. So I'll try to show you what it looks like, right? So design objects in Appian data object, Appian design object, and it's categorized as a data object is actually data store, SDT, and record type. So these record types, data store and custom data types. Custom data type uh, is it's nothing, but it's actually exactly the same as the primitive or system data types. Uh, so all are actually like a data-centric object. These icons appears in orange, but like if you see the icons inside, so you'll see like a database icon inside. So that is data store. Data store is nothing. It's a reference to an external relational database. So whenever like you have a database at the let me just draw. All right, so let me grab this here. All right, so here you go. So let's see. Let's say like we have like an Appian right here, right? So Appian we have like Appian right here. So we are actually accessing all the functionality in Appian, right? So, but the data like related to our business, like when we save information, right? So, for example, vendor man when we are actually onboarding vendor management. So, we are actually onboarding like Best Buy, Staples, or anything, right? Any vendors. So all this information will be stored somewhere, right? So we're gonna store it somewhere on the backend, either in Appian database or somewhere external database. It can be MySQL, it can be Postgres, it can be Oracle, anywhere, right? But we're gonna store it somewhere in database, right? So the business database. So we know like once complete once we close this form, we save our data on our database, and when we actually try to review it, so we can actually easily call this database and then render the information on the front end, and then we can review all those things, right? But how can we actually like this is an external database, right? So this is a MySQL or like a MySQL server, right? It's external database, but this is actually Appian, the whole structure, right? So like last time as I to discuss like the architecture, right? So the whole thing, like the application server, whatever, like the web server and everything. So, but here, actually want to go back. I'm gonna go back here, right? So all these things, right? But we have also like a data server on in Appian, right? So even if like we're using like external database on the front on the outside, in Appian we have also like this is a database, but we have also like a data server inside, right? So we can so like here, this is Appian, this is Appian, but also we are saving our information to the external system like Oracle or somewhere, Oracle or MySQL server, right? But in Appian, we're gonna actually create a representation of the actual the external database, right? For each table we are creating here, we're gonna create a CDT, right? So Appian actually reading, right? So from the data store, whenever like we read some information, it's actually reading from this data store. So this is nothing, but it's actually connected to external database, external source. So this is Appian. We call them like this actually a data store. Okay. So data store is nothing. It's a representation of the external database system, right? So right. So data store is a reference to an external relational database system that is used to store application data, right? So whatever the application data, the business data we stored, it's going to be represented in our data store. So this, you don't need to worry about it, right? So just at least, you have to say like, okay, back in the Appian version, there is a data store, so we can, just configure our CDTs and data types inside this data store, and then we can, easily represent the tables, whatever like the business tables we have on the external database to our Appian data store. So data store is nothing, it's a reference to an external database system that is used to store application data. So each data store contains one or more entities. So we call them like entities that correspond to a table in a database, right? For any tables, we're gonna have like, for example, we have like table A for vendor applicant, right? Vendor applicant. Then we're gonna have like a data, so the same entity in the data source. So this is we call them like the data type, right? So data type, we're gonna create a data type exactly the same structure with the table, with the external database system, and we're going to add them to the data source. So each data store contains like one or more data entities that corresponds to a table in a database roles. When saving a data from Appian to external database, the data store defines the connection to the database, while data types define the structure of the structure, right? The data entities being stored. So in Appian, so I want to give you some, right? So this, if you see here, it says like, when we're saving like data from Appian, right? That means like when we're actually submitting an information, like submitting the interface, right? Submitting the form. So we are actually saving data from Appian to an external database. So we're gonna run to external database. For example, right? So we have like, we need to save like two into source. Like one, we have like a MS SQL Server, right? And one we have is actually Oracle database, right? We have like Oracle, right? In Appian, we open like, an interface, user input interface, and we actually collect information, right? So for about like, vendor information, vendor name, vendor phone number, and anything, and then we also actually store vendor address, right? So vendor street address, two, or street address, uh, optional, zip code, city, or something like that, right? So we want to actually store the address information to Oracle, and we want to store the vendor management, the first part, right? The first section. Uh, first section is about the vendor management, and second one is actually the address, right? So I want to save the vendor management, like whatever, like capture like the vendor name, phone number, email, or something. I want to store it in MS SQL Server, right? And then the vendor for address, I want to store it like in Oracle database, right? So right now, if I want to store this information, first I need to define where, right? So like like when I try to write this vendor information, I want to define the connection, right? So like this here, like the data store define the connection to the database, right? So in this case, right, so I have like one and two source, right? So one is Oracle, one is a Microsoft server. So in Appian, I need two data store, right? So one is actually, defining the, representing this relation, the database, Microsoft MS SQL Server. The other data store representing the Oracle, right? When I actually save this, like this vendor management to MS SQL Server, so I'm gonna use the connection whatever the connection string in this specific data store, right? So when I hit this data store, it's automatically give me where to store, right? So like in the in Appian, we're gonna configure this data store information. So we have the connection string. So connection string is nothing but just the address to this specific database. So we're gonna update here. So when try to hit the address information, I'm gonna use the data store connection string, the data store like connection string to access the Oracle. So when I hit this, like when I try to use this guy, so that means like automatically it's get the authentication from this its connection string, and then we get some information from Oracle, or we're gonna update anything like on the Oracle database. So you can create like multiple data source in Appian, and then you can point them to a different source, right? Or also like you can create the same thing. You can create two or three data store and then pointing to the same data store as well, right? So just if it helps you like to organize things, you can create multiple data store on this side. But now like I wanna mention that like so in Appian is not anymore using this data store, because we are not actually needing creating like any kind of like facility or entities on Appian just to get some information to get some data, right? So uh, but like maybe a year back or two, right? So we are actually dependent on the data store. So we have to create a data store to make this connection. Now we actually bypass this too, and then use record type, so that will you can access the record directly. In the record, actually, you can easily mention the table, and you can easily get the connection from there, right? So we're gonna create like record types, and we'll know like where our source is, and if we want to add like a new source, I'm gonna show you that as well. All right. All right. So data store is nothing. It's a representation of like external database, and it's actually defined the connection to the external database. So we can easily target the external database through the connection string, which we already set up like in admin console, right? Uh, so in here as well, like we say like each data store contains like one or more data entities, right? So when I say data entities, for example, we have a table on the backend for vendor address, right? So vendor address. So we need to create like the same entity on the vendor address with the help of like data type. So data type is nothing. It's as opposed to like primitive or system data types. A custom data type or CDT. Custom data type is nothing. So it's the ability for the it's actually Appian gives the ability for the developers to create their own data types. It's a developer-defined data structure, so data types allows designers to create a logical grouping of related specific data, right? So uh, just to give you an idea, like what is data type, right? So for example, we have here, right? So like for example, like we have like just to give you an example, let's take actually animal kingdom, okay? So in animal kingdom, we have reptiles, right? Reptiles. So reptiles, maybe there are few reptiles, right? So, like maybe I'm not quite sure, but just crocodile, like snakes or something. We call them like maybe reptiles, right? And kind of just give me in the animal kingdom, like what you type me like the mammals, right? There are like different, right? So like birds, we can call them like birds, right? Like at least like three types, right? So let's take right, so reptiles, mammals, and like birds, right? So in this kingdom, right? So we can actually categorize like different animals under this, right? So reptiles like mammals and birds, like if they are actually flying, we can call them like birds, right? If it's actually like people like giving some breastfeed or something, so we call them like mammals. Reptiles, like if they something like so. We categorize like animals in this way, right? So human, like when we take like ourselves, I think we are actually categorized in mammals group, right? So if it's like crocodile, it's gonna be reptile here, right? So if it's like just eagle or something, it's gonna be like on the bird, right? So we can easily tell like, okay, this animal belongs to this group, right? So same thing, data has also like a type, right? So it's kind of like, so this is, you can call like like animal types, right? We can call them like these animal types, animal type reptiles like mammals, birds, or something, right? Data also, like when you see like any data like we are storing, it's actually, we call them like, we can say like the data types, right? So each one has their own characteristics. So like for example, what is the data types for what is the data type for this guy, right? Number one, it's a number, right? So we can cut, okay, this is a number, like we can easily categorize, okay, this is a number. uh, so there is a few primitive data types or system data types. We call them like system data types. There are actually five or six, right? So one is, let me grab my right, so let me grab my Appian, right? Okay, right here. So number one, it's, let's discuss about like data types, okay? Right, so we can categorize, like for example, we have one, right? We have five. Okay, so who's gonna tell me like the what is the data type for the first one? This is a number, right? Right, so Appian gonna tell me, okay, this is actually Appian like knows like, okay, this is a type, it's a data, right? But type of like a number integer, right? Right. So what about like if this is actually 1.5? It's a the same thing. It's a data, but like it's decimal, right? It's a number, but it's a decimal data type. So data is their own like uh, types, right? So for example, I wanna remove this and this guy, right? So like 1 to 25. So who's gonna tell me like what is this type of? Who's gonna tell me like what is the data type for this guy? All right. So let me
A date, maybe.
a date, right? Okay, perfect. So let me type this one first. Okay, this test, right? What would be the data types? Kind of like text, right? Or string, right? This text, right? So I'm gonna call this, in Appian we have like this today function, okay? So today function is actually will get today's date. So this is a date, right? So like Nathan said, like it's a date. So if I call this guy, I'll get, okay, let me comment this out. I'll get a date like 2325, right? It's a date with the time zone. If it is actually date and time, we have also another function, call it like now. So if just to get the function, whatever the time we like, whatever the date and the time, right? it's gonna be date and time, right? You'll get the time, and then it's gonna be date and time with the time zone, right? So now I'm gonna go through this guy. So Nathaniel, like you say, like it's a date, right? Looks like it's a date,
Yes.
right? But if I test this, I will get a text, right? So because it's kind of like it's whatever the data inside that data is actually a date, but because of this quotation, right? So I'm actually forcing Appian to say like, so whatever I am actually putting here inside this one is a text, right? So this is a number, right? For example, like this is a number, right? We know like one is a number, right? If I put it in in that string in the quotation, I can easily tell, okay, it's a string, right? It's a text. But if it's without the quotation, right, it's a number. So in Appian, like just if it's to say like this is a number or integer, like just number or integer, you don't need to put any quotation. But if you put a quotation, so we're actually saying like, okay, this is a text, right? So text is when you categorize like data as a text, so it can be like a number, right? But like inside, like you can call this as a number. You can you know, have like character numbers together, right? So all these are actually text. You can categorize them as a text, right? Also, so these are actually the primitive data types. So when you say like primitive data types, everywhere, right? So everywhere, if you go to Java, if you go to C Sharp, if you go to like database, anywhere, right? So this is actually backbone, right? Like data types actually backbone for all the programming. So we call there's like four primitives. One is like number integer, right? Number integer data types, right? Number decimal. If it is like decimal position, there is a lot actually. Number floating, number double, right? Number floating and double. In Appian we have like only number integer and number decimal, but in other language we have like uh, number double, like number floating, or like a lot of like precision with the precision, right? But also like we have a text, right? Text in Appian. But if you guys took like some another language, text is nothing. It's varchar, car, n varchar, number of it's nothing like varying character, right? Character and varying character, right? So in database or something, it's kind of like in Appian we categorize them all them are as a string, as text data type. But like if you go to the backend, if you see like a varchar or n varchar or something, it's not it's, this means nothing, like it's text in Appian, okay? Uh, Also we have like date field, right? So date is a primitive, right? Uh, so it's like a timestamp, anyway, like n timestamp or dates, date and time, and it's right. So you can't, so there is a lot of data types, but just gonna focus like mainly like on this number, integer, text, and date, right? So all of them, right? So like when you call like CDT or something, we can actually like if you have like only one data types, we can categorize it like one data type, so it's as a number or integer, right? But can I categorize all of them, right? So can I categorize and then just get like one data type, right? So okay, for example, I want to actually store some information about like my first name, like I want to actually capture like the students like first name and email all together, right? So for that, like at least I need uh, for that at least I need like just to capture, right? For example, let me use this guy, like student name, like just text, right? For example, I can type my name, right? So and my phone, right? Sorry. not a phone, but I can say I want to live like until 75, age 75, right? So it's not like I'm actually creating like a map. It's different from CDT, but like just want to show you, right? So I can, just capture this information like all together, right? So like kind of for the for the developers able to create their own data type. So for example, like this is like for just for the students like name and age. I want to capture this way, right? So this is if I create like a CDT, so we call them like CDT like custom data types, right? I'm doing like my custom data type, so I'm actually doing some customization, right? Because I'm using like a primitive data types. One is like just to store the student's name. I'm using like text data type. To store my age, I'm using actually like number, right? For example, if I date of birth, to capture date of birth, right? So for example, like I my date of birth is today, right? So I can say like I created okay, so things are very slow. I create like my custom data types, right? It's kind of like custom data types. Uh, I'm using like with text field, integer field, and a date, a date field, right? So I can create like this kind of a customization, like customization. So Appian used to provide, for the developers able to create a custom data type. So I can create like, I can create data types to store those information, and then I can use it somewhere, and then I can store it in the database. So this way, just you able to like create your own like just customized data types. So that's why like like as opposed to like a primitive or system data types, custom data type or CDT is a developer defined data structure. So data types we will allow the designers to create like a logical grouping of related data. So when I say like a logical grouping of related data, for example, like the detail about the student, right? So student name, student ages, all right. So it will help me just to design and organize all the groups. Uh, Give me 1 second. Yeah, yeah, yeah. مثلا سجوا يعني. أقول سجين رسيت تكابي. سكت هلو لين تكابي. يا مت ألشان. Right. Sorry about that. So when you say like logical groupings, so detail for about the student, right? So like student name, student last name, student email, and everything. So I can categorize and then you store them like in some place, right? Uh, so data can be like shared internally, for instance, between the interface and cross models or a web service that use a CDT, right? So like when you create actually CDT, it will be helpful, right? Just to store some information on the CDT, right? So you're gonna store some information on the CDT, and then you can pass the data like whatever the logical group data from one object to another object. So in Appian, we can transfer like information like from one object to another. For example, from the interface to the pros model or something, right? That I'm gonna show you that as well. Okay, so let me go back here and I'm trying to see like if there is any data types, right? If yeah, Appian actually remove the creation of data types as well, but I still like the filter we have. So let me go outside and then see if there is any data type so I can show you if there is an existing data types. Um, all right, yeah. So we have like like at least just to show you, like I said, data types actually we can create them like this. For example, like let me open this guy, and I will show you here uh, how actually we just make like logical grouping of primitive data types to come up with like some custom data types, right? So this is actually we can create whatever we want, but it will, if, at least if you to help us, right? So for example, this for a repair item, like I want to capture information for about the repair. So repair item ID, like if you see it's number integer, like all like repair type, vehicle section, price estimate, and the start date of that repair, right? When it's actually complete, the mechanic who complete that is the text did field, right? So modified by uh, it's the the name of the mechanic, right, or something, right? So it's the text field, and then when it's actually modified, it's a date field. So as data type is actually creating, you can create like a data types to create, to store some like like logically related information, right? For example, all this is actually related to like one repair item, but it's all are actually related, right? So we can easily tell, okay, what is the okay the repair type is actually uh, repairing the windshield or something, right? But when it's actually started, the windshield started, when it's complete, who did that or something, right? So you can easily like from this data type, you can easily tell about that specific detail. All right. Okay. So let me see if I can create like one data type from here. I don't think so. Like I don't think can give us that ability. So this data store and data types is actually deprecated. Deprecated means like they are not no more, like we're not gonna use it like unless uh, we want to create our own custom data types, right? Yes, if you see here, just in order to create like a data type, so data type should be on the top, but it's, they're not giving us like to create a data type. So right now, if right now like on the current version, when you call like data object, it's actually we are actually referring a record type. Data store and data types actually used to be a data object for Appian for the last for the older object. So if you join a company, still you may see like data store and data types, but like it's nothing like it's kind of like the old ways of handling a database like a data from Appian. But now the modern one is actually we're actually using like a record type for handling all the data, right? So kind of like using like record type is actually we can easily directly use like record type. So there is no use to create like a data store in data types anymore, right? So but still I believe like I don't know why like data types they actually remove it, so it will help us. Actually, we can create like a data type same as like data types with the record type. So that's I'm gonna show you. So a record type. So the other that object is actually a record type. So record types brings like together all the data on a single topic, right? So when we discuss like the first class, if you remember of like data fabrics, right? So we can actually connect Appian to a different source, right? So we can connect Appian to Salesforce, we can connect to SharePoint, we can connect to some Appian application, sorry, some external Java application, we can connect to some Appian processes, and we can connect to database, different databases, right? So record type will bring all the data together, right? So all the data on a single topic, right? So you will have access everything about related to that specific record, right? So data on the Salesforce, data on the backend, on the database side, data on the process model, and then it will give you a centric area for you like to review and then act on it, right? So records like provide a centralized view of like a given business function. So along with all of its connection to related records, right? So you will have like related records. We're gonna gonna see like how to like we will have like two or three record types. but we're gonna make them some relationship between the two, between the two or three record types. It can be like complex. It can be like one record type can be related to like many record types. So you will get like you'll get like some kind of relationship between all the record views. Uh, so we can also like attach a processes to the record views, right? So like we can act on it, right? So for example, we see the record about like the vendor information, so the vendor name and everything. So if you see like vendor name is not correct, so we can attach a process model to different record views, so we can act as a related action. So as an action, as a related action, we can allow the users to initiate a process and then make an update on that specific record. So so now like let me go back to the actually let me go and grab like one record type. So that's why that will give us like we can actually explain like what actually the relationship between the different record types. So try to get event type is actually it's not maintenance. Because like we all are actually using the same resource, you can easily see like performance issues. Okay, so okay, it's not loading. All right. Right, so if you see here, right, okay, for the maintenance record type, right, so this is actually, we connect this to the data store, to our, database. So there is a database associated with this, like there is type is a database, the source is a database, uh, the name of the data store, like it's actually, whatever, like we have this guy, right, so this is the name of the data store we have, the data source. The table is there is a table on the back end which is called like a maintenance, right? So this table maintenance table has all those fields like ID, vehicle ID, issue, and everything like that, right? So now, actually wanna show you like here the relationship, right? So this is a maintenance table, but this we all this if you see all these are actually record types, right? So not this one, like this is a user, but these are actually record types, right? All are actually database record types, MariaDB. The type, like for example, this one is like a maintenance status, is called a vehicle, what kind of vehicle, it's vehicle maintenance subscriber or something like that, right? So within this specific record, I can easily see like what kind of vehicle is this, right? So the vehicle maintenance is about like this record actually have only the vehicle ID. Based on this vehicle ID, I can get like the name of the vehicle, the make of the vehicle, the year of the vehicle or something, right? Every information from this one, right? So each one for the name of the vehicles and every vehicle information, we have a record type for it. For the maintenance, we have a different record type here. So, but these are actually have related, right? So with some relationship, I can easily tell from this record type, okay, there is a this maintenance is actually takes place like windshield is actually updated or something. For this, based on this vehicle ID, I can easily get the relationship from here, and then I can tell the detail about the vehicle. So the detail about like, okay, this is Honda or something like that. This is like Toyota or something like that. So also like who would actually subscribe for the maintenance or something. So you can easily tell like, and then so that's actually the power of data fabric. So you can easily it can be like from the database, right? But it can be the source can be like from the Salesforce or can be from the SharePoint or like from anywhere, right? So with the power of like relationship, you can easily tell, and you can right? With the record types, you will bring all the data together on a single topic, and you can display it like in a series of record views, right? So from here, you can easily see like from the record views, record. So when we say like record views, I'm going to show you here. So like once you create your record types, so you'll see the data like on some specific display, right? So you can give access to the users to view the information. If anything is not right or something, you give them action to make an update. So for example, like whatever you see right on this record type, is this one, right? So this is a database. So you give them, we're gonna give them like the ability to view the information for that specific record, like that specific like maintenance, right? So that's specific maintenance. So this maintenance request, right? So if I go open this maintenance specifically for that specific record, right? So it will gonna actually, uh, looks like, let me see if one of them is actually working. Yeah, so there is some bug. So that's actually, kind of like in our work, right? So this is when you develop something and then you see like some issue like this, so we have to fix it, right? Uh, but there is an issue on, let me see if I can fix this. Right. Yeah. So, but we can see like all the information from here, and also like for example, like for about like the vehicle maintenance, right? And then about the vehicle information, the vehicle subscriber, whatever like we see here on the relationship. So we can easily like visualize. We can easily visualize from the as a kind of like record views, right? So there is a views, like so we can add like different views. So based on the different views, we can easily say, okay, we can easily actually access all the information from different source, and then in a centric manner, you can easily access from one page. And if you think of like anything is actually is not right, so they will have like an action like on that specific. We can actually configure a cross models on this, right? And there will be an action to there will be an action to configure. There will be an action like to configured, so you can initiate and then update that specific record. Right, so this like an update maintenance action, new sync, estimate synchronous, like new estimate synchronous, any action. So you can add like multiple action on that specific record. So let me see like if at least the record action if it works. Okay, so related actions like all the pros models like is actually configured right here. So you can if you'll see them like update in maintenance, update assign mechanism or something. All the actions will be here. So if you think of like okay on the whatever you see on the summary page is not right, so you can click on update process. It will automatically open the process for you like something wrong with this guy. So when you develop our application, we'll try to make sure like these red things will not be there. Right. All right. So now I want to let's start like like before I go to actually like pro subject and anything. So let's focus on like record type, and we're gonna actually start working on our application. Okay. Now like I want to create like let's create like an application. So sorry, a record type for us, right? So uh, for our application, we're actually capturing some information about the vendor management, right? So if we have already a table, like if you already have like a table on the database, it's gonna be easy for us to capture that. But now, like we don't have that, right? So let me go back here. So let's go back to our application.
I'm sorry, Dave.
Yeah,
I don't know how to get to this page. Uh, I don't know. I'm
which page?
somewhere. But the main page here to create this the main page that I can see on your computer.
Oh, this
But
login page?
on my side, yeah, I can't see that.
Okay, just did you see this guy?
No,
Oh, you don't see this one? This half one?
no, no.
Can you share your screen so I can?
Okay,
Okay, let's start
okay.
sharing.
Um, I don't know. I'm sharing. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I see your screen. You are on the documentation, right? You are not on the
Okay.
code. Go to Appian community, like the other tab.
This. Oh, the up
Yeah,
there here.
yeah, there is, yeah. Just click on that. Oh, do you have an account? Yeah, just
Yes, I created an account. This is
okay,
my
click
account.
there. Yeah, click there. Click on profile. So click on access environment. Access
Mm,
environment. Yeah, right
yeah,
there.
I saw.
Okay. Yeah,
US.
click US. Yeah. So you have to wait. Yeah. So
Okay.
click on. I'm considering becoming an Appian developer. The first one, maybe. Uh, how did you hear about us? Appian community.
Appian. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oops.
Yeah. Just learning
Oh,
on the top. For a couple interesting words. Automating train process. The first one.
the first one. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. You like to start a shared workspace?
Oh, I sorry without.
It's okay. All right. So, what's your role? You can say data science. That's fine.
Data science.
Yeah, anything, anything. You can pick anything. That's fine. What's your role?
Oh,
What is the size of your company? Self-employed. That's fine. Okay. So because of the workspace. Okay. Yeah. Just give your workspace name, like NG or something, whatever. Like not that right? NB. Yeah, that's fine.
it says it's
Uh,
taken.
and maybe 2025. All right.
I don't know.
Continue. So yeah, just
Should I write my email?
no, remove it. Remove the RX. Yeah, yeah, just continue now. You just click on the checkbox. No, the checkbox.
Okay, okay. So,
Agree. Yeah, and finish. So for now, I think you can't do anything because it will take some
okay,
time. Okay. So
okay,
just to
okay.
set up an account for you, like it will take some time. So
So that means I didn't create an account before?
no, you created an account, but if you
Uh-huh.
remember, like first class, uh, we go through this one, right? Just to create an
Yeah.
account, and so it will take couple of days to give an environment,
Yeah.
such a like what
Yeah,
environment?
I did all this last time, and like the previous class, I was able to go that to that page, but today I don't know, it's not working. I don't know.
Okay, so
Yeah,
like you have to. Okay, so actually for the class, right?
yeah.
Make sure at least you log in and then check what at least like once in 2 days, right? So
Oh, okay,
if you are
okay,
actually not accessing for 5 days, they will deactivate it for you.
okay,
So
okay.
yeah, make sure access it, even if you are not actually working anything. right? Just go there in open, and then click here there, like open one of the things, save it or get off, right? So,
Okay.
so we know, like on the back end, like in Appian, we track like who is actually working, who is actually active for the last days, right? Then we can
Okay.
put some kind of rule, uh, say like if the person like whatever the user, right? If
Okay.
he's not active for 5 days, you know, completely close the edition account, right? So that's what we
Okay.
do,
Okay. Okay.
all right?
Thank you so much.
No problem. So
And
just
I'm
give it,
sorry about that. Okay.
no, just give it like a day too, so you will actually so that means maybe you're not actually following to demo, right? So you're not actually following and then do like the record type. So I'm not sure like what about like Amara, do you have access? I know Iman, you don't have access yet, right? So
Mhm. But we're recording the class, right?
yeah, so you have
Yeah, that's
so
fine
we're
then.
together, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry.
No problem. All right, guys. So let me reshare again. Okay. So okay. So now I will try to actually create. We're gonna actually start like designing our vendor management, right? So there is a way to create these things, how it works, right? So like now, like just let's design. Let's give me a second. All right. So let's design our vendor management, right? So when you say like we're actually building a vendor management application, right? So vendor management application is nothing as a company, right? So assume like we are actually working for a big company, but this big company wants some vendor management onboarding application, right? So because previously, uh, like for getting some furniture from somewhere, right? So from Valley City Furniture or something. So the way they do it is actually, get the information from the on a phone, like put in Excel, or just they have to fill the form or something like that, right? Instead of doing this, so they ask you, right? So they actually ask us to create a vendor management application. So it will help us, right? So just to onboard all the users. For example, before I say like I need to buy like some furniture, so the vendors they're gonna just fill out the form, say say like I like just they put the category, they if they're actually furniture or educational or something, so they're gonna fill that form, their vendor information, their vendor address, and then once they submit, right, the form, then we're gonna send email to the company's supervisor, right, for the vendor onboarding supervisor. So they're gonna receive and they're gonna review all the application. And then if they say okay, so right now like I wanna onboard only Valley City Furniture, right? So then I'm gonna approve it, and then once actually approve it, and then once they are actually on the system, then they can start selling their products to the company. So that's we are actually build the first part, okay, the vendor management part, right? So the vendor onboarding. So we're gonna create an interface for them, like they're gonna put the information. Once they submit, we're gonna send a task for the supervisor. The supervisor will review if, and then they can approve and reject. Finally, what we need to do is actually, if they are approved or reject, we're gonna notify the vendor saying, okay, you are approved or you are rejected, or something like that. It's a simple application we're gonna create. So so this vendor management, so what kind of like information we need, right? So we need at least a vendor information, right? We're gonna have like a vendor. Uh, I need to have the vendor information, right? Like what we can call like vendor applicant, right? So vendor applicant, or we can call like a vendor. That's fine. So this is actually just to store the information about like a vendor, right? For vendor applicant, right? So now I need name for the vendor, right? Right. So name for the vendor, I need also like phone number, email for the vendor, right? So yeah, if you think of anything, just let me know. Like we are actually building our own the custom data types, right? Kind of like we are building our record types. So if you think of like, okay, we need to capture this information to onboard, feel free just to tell me so we can add them, right? So now we're gonna add also like a category. What is the category? I mean, like they are actually furniture, they are actually like electronics, or they're actually education, they are actually pharmaceutical or something, right? We're gonna add like the category of the vendor, right? What do you think? Any other field? Status of their application, right? First thing is actually when they actually start. It's gonna be like pending, right? So phone, email, category, right? I think that's it, right? All right. So now, like that's enough. Like, but we can actually capture a lot of information, right? Uh, Now, like actually, I wanna just okay. Let's do it here. Okay, street address, street address one, right? Street address two.
Maybe gender.
Okay, gender. I will I will have it here. Okay, that's good. Gender. I'm gonna have it here, but not on this one, right? So assume like this is actually vendor, like a big company, right? But we're gonna have like a contact for the big company applicant, vendor applicants contact. You're gonna have like another information to capture. It's gonna be name of the first name, or last name, gender, right? Phone number, email, and to city, country, states, code, right? All right. Okay, so like for each vendor, so there will be a contact, right? So that's fine. So I'm gonna have it this guy this way, but also like street address, like this is for the company address. You're gonna have street address or like address line. That's fine. I'm gonna type it address line one, address line two, city, state, zip code, right? So at least we need to capture this information about the vendor, right? Vendor, right? So email, phone, it's fine. Okay. Anything you think of? So let me know. All right. I can say like maybe your application date, right? or data applied. Let's find dates. Right. We can create like data applied, category, status, and everything like that. Okay, that's enough. Okay, so for now, like it's gonna create like we're gonna create like a table for vendor applicants. Vendor applicant contact. We're gonna actually capture the contact. At least we can create like 3 contacts for that company, right? So in case like just anything happens, so we're gonna reach out to the contact for the vendor, so then work out with together, right? So now here, right? If you see the category, right? So we can say like we can have like different categories, right? So let's have it like instead of category just putting like it's education or something, let's create like a reference table for it, right? So we can call it in a category table, right? In the category table we're gonna store only the value, or like name of the category and description of the category. Right. Okay, for now let's do this. Okay, that's fine, that's enough for us. Okay, so now I'm gonna actually write code. Sorry, I'm gonna drop. Okay, so for this vendor applicant I'm gonna store some information for the vendor applicant, as well like for vendor contact, applicant contact, and the category, right? So in the category, right, the category can be like specific categories, like we know, right? So outside there are like some vendors, there are like a big application, but they are actually categorized. For example, if you go to Best Buy, they are actually categorized as a vendor which supplies electronics, right? Or some other stuff, right? But related to like electronics, right? If you go to like Valley City Furniture, it's a vendor which is categorized like to you know you get some furniture there, right? So the category can be furniture, right? So we can easily say like in this category, right? So maybe on the name, there will be few categories. So you can mention anything, but like for me, I will say like I will say like Best Buy, for Best Buy like electronics, right? Electronics supply, furniture, supply, pharmaceutical, and educational. It can be like whatever, like if you think of anything, just add them, right? So that's fine. Like this is actually gonna be a record, right? So that's fine. But at least we need to have them like electronic supply, furniture supply, pharmaceutical, and educational. So just to capture this information, right? So vendor applicant, we're gonna have like a table on the backend on the database. I'm gonna create like a table for this guy. So for this guy, we're gonna have like a name field, right? Name, phone, email, date applied, a date field, and everything like that, right? So now we're gonna actually just pay attention on this one, right? So all this actually, phone number is actually text, like email is a text, date is actually a date field, category is actually a text field, right? If I type like category, like if I say like I'm actually capturing like Best Buy, the Best Buy phone number, email, data applied, category as electronics, it's gonna be text, right? But I want to actually like show you here as normalization, right? Instead of actually typing electronic supply, I'm gonna use the category ID from here, right? So I'm gonna store the ID of the category table. So that way I can have normalized structure. So I'm not typing uh, the overall like electronic supply, but I'm gonna add like the ID. So from that ID, I can do some relationship between the category table. So I can easily say like, for example, one is electronic supply, then I can type like one on that specific field. So now I'm gonna create this, right? So we're gonna create like one for vendor applicant, and on this vendor applicant we'll have like category ID. So it's gonna be like 1, 2, 3 or something, right? We're gonna have also like a category table, like category table right here. You're gonna have like a name and a category, a name and description, and also the ID field. So this table will be related to this guy using an ID field. So this is actually kind of linked, right? Instead of like typing supply in electronic supply, I'm typing like one, right? So based on this one, I'm getting like the detail from the category table. Also a contact, right? So contact, I'm gonna create like another table for contact. So in this contact, we're gonna be first name, last name, email, and everything, whatever the information we have on the contact, right? And this contact, we can, this is actually separate table, but I need to actually store some value, like, whatever this information is, make it specific, right? So the vendor applicant ID, right? I'm gonna store that in here, so I can easily, get, okay, this contact is related to this applicant. So in order to do that, so I need to introduce one more field on the contact table. So on this contact table, I need to introduce one more field. So that field is going to be vendor applicant ID. So this vendor applicant ID is going to be actually, it's going to be on this table as well. Okay, so this, now I'm going to introduce you like one constant, right? So this guy is going to be a primary key for this table, like so. When we add name like base by or something, on the backend I store as one, right? Number one is base by, number two is staples, number three is, so that's kind of like a unique ID. Number, like when I say like one, it's okay, it's like it's like base by, right? So this is kind of like a primary key. It's a unique key, unique ID, unique identifier. So based on that, I can easily access like right here. I can add it right there, right? So like, so this table also have like its own unique identifier. So it's gonna be vendor contact ID, but this is gonna be a primary key, right? This is gonna be a primary key for this table, but this guy is gonna be a foreign key. It's a foreign key to this guy, right? So these two tables are actually kind of related based on this ID, right? The vendor applicant ID. So it's going to be foreign key. This is actually primary key. This is primary key table, and this category ID here is going to be a foreign key to this table, right? So this category table is going to be it will have like a category ID table, right? Category ID field. Okay, now I'm gonna create a record type for this, right? So these are actually like a table structure, right? So I can create a table on the backend, on the database side. I can create this table, and then I can, just easily like, when I create my record type, I will gonna, say, okay, just get the information from this table, right? And also like, as a best practice, right? Whenever we actually create a table, like a new table or new record types or something, right? Like on the database side, it's better actually to capture this information, right? Who created this, right? And when it's created, right? Who modified this, and who, when it's actually modified, right? So the same structure, the same thing was going to be actually captured for all, and it's better like to capture like soft delete as well. So is this active, right? So if this record is actually deleted or active, right? So we need to have like active flag, right? So it's true or false, right? So now I need actually all these fields on this table as well, the same field. Like whenever you created a table, it's better to have it everywhere. Okay, so now we have like this guy, right? So now I'm gonna create like three tables. One is vendor applicant contact, category, just for referencing, right? Also, just instead of doing this, right? So here also, like I have like a status, right? Instead of status, just pending, approved or something, I can start, type. I can actually store the status ID, and instead of category table, instead of sorry, in addition to category table, I can have a status table as well. right? It's gonna be status table. So in status name, instead of now here, pending, it's gonna be pending, rejected, and approved. This is gonna be status, right? So it's gonna be status ID, right? So now this can be like on the status ID. It's gonna be a foreign key, right? Status ID can be foreign key to the status table. So let's create like this for record type, and then we're gonna make like relationship between all of them, right? So now then you're gonna be like a master of the creating record types and then making the relationship between everything, right? All right. So let's create. Let me actually just grab this here. Remove all these tables. All right. Now I'm gonna come here to my application, right? Now I'm gonna create a vendor applicant record type. Okay. And now I'm gonna, so when you create like record type, you'll see like the name prefix there. Then you're gonna type a vendor. You're gonna actually make sure like in nomenclature actually this, so it's gonna be vendor applicant. Applicant, right? And this is nothing, it's a record type. Choose to a vendor applicant, right? I'm gonna create this. So now, like it's easy to create a record type. So as I mentioned, it's automatically give security, right? Automatically it's gonna be security here, right? But we have not, we don't have actually we already have a group, but I don't know why like it's actually start getting the group right there, right? So we need to actually have like security needs to be set up, right? So W123 4, right? So it's gonna be admin group, and W123 4. I'm using this one, right? Okay, so VM2, right? So it's gonna be all yours. So I will gonna remove like that guy, like individual. So it's not best practice to secure an object with the individual, but instead just use like a group to secure your design object, right? I'm gonna save this. Now I created my vendor applicant, right? It's nothing like right now, like I just created the record type. That is nothing, right? So I need to specify what is actually the data source of it, right? So now I have like a data model, like it will ask me just, okay, just give me a data model, like tell me about your data. You just created like a record type. But now, like, let's get started, right? So tell me about your data. So there is a button right here. So it will ask you, where can I get your data from, right? If your data is actually on database, then you're gonna select it from database. If it's from the Salesforce, you can select from the Salesforce. If it's from a web kind of API, you can actually specify the API. So now, like, I'm just click on the tell us about your data. So okay, I want to start with existing data, right? If it's already existing data, if we have a table on the backend, you're not gonna select like from database, you're gonna next, right? And then just click and select the table from the just from the table, right? So automatically it will give you like all the list of the tables on the backend, right? On the database side, right? You can search the table. You can, if you created manually as well, you can get it from here. But now, like, we don't have that table, right? So we don't have the vendor management table, vendor applicant table. Also, like, we can access the information from here as well, right? Just give me a second.
How are
Hello,
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Can you do me a favor, please? I need change for 20.
Right, sorry, I'm on a class. Sorry.
Sorry.
Yep. Sorry guys. Okay, so now we can actually configure like in the database. Also, like we can actually just make like our source from the process. We can just make it like from the Salesforce if it's like from Salesforce or any application, but with the web service, right? If there is a web service configured or something, we can actually configure with the web service, right? Uh, but now like we don't have any table. We don't have like our source on the Salesforce or the process or web API, right? Uh, but I want to actually start creating, right? Okay, if I want to, right, I can create it directly from here, right? So I can go to my database, right? And from the database, I can create my table, right? Directly here, right? First, instead of going there from the record type, but like you don't have you don't have experience on the database side, right? But I can easily go here and just create a new table, right? There is a new, so I can create a new table from here, right? So I can configure my table right there, so giving the name of the table, just the name of the applicant ID, right? Something applicant ID, right? So all right, so applicant ID, you need to specify the data type. So like as I mentioned, like in earlier, right? So each field should have like a data type. So we need to whatever the value stored right on that specific field should have a data type, right? So for example, it's ID like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's an integer, right, or something like that. But this is on the database side, right? So just we're gonna make we'll come in here and then just you can create table as well. So we're gonna give like table name right there. Once you fill out the information here and make sure like auto decrement or something like that, and then gonna you can actually preview the SQL script as well. You can generate a database script from here and then execute it, or you can just simply save and then you'll have like the table right there, right? Vendor applicant table. But now just want to show you like you don't need to have like database experience, as I mentioned, right? So now, okay, I want my source from the database, right? But my table is not there, right? My table is not in the database, but I want to create a table. So here I want to start from scratch. There's an option here. So database tables will be auto-generated and data will be synced, right? So you don't need to know like Appian, like database. You don't need to have like a database skill to create a table. But in Appian, okay, let me create like a table, my table from scratch, right? So let's create it, right? Click on this, right? So gonna give you like the data source where to will give you like where we're actually creating this guy, w2 like data source connected with build like data fabrics. That's fine, just click next. Then automatically, like if you remember like those fields, right? The created date, created on, modified by, modified date. Appian actually automatically, instead of just you have to click here and there, right? Appian automatically give you an option like this is actually recommended, right? ID is recommended, right? So if you see here, let me grab it right there, right? Vendor applicant, the ID, right, is a primary key. It's a primary key, so it's actually just to have like a unique identifier for each table, right? So it's an ID, right? So vendor applicant ID right there, right? So now, and then here, if you see here, created date, modified date or something, it's still created on, modified by, modified date, right? All are actually automatic capture. So it's actually the best practice to capture all those fields, right? But now we need to capture at least this one, this information, right? This information on this table, right? And then the is active field flag for making like an update, like sorry, like a soft delete. All right, ID is fine. So I can we can actually make that here instead of ID. I will actually type it as like vendor applicant ID, right? So nomenclature is I'm actually using like a camel case, right? Camel case is actually I start with a small letter, and whenever like I start like a new field and a new word, I will start with a capital, right? So that's a camel case, right? So the same way, right? So created by, created on, and modified by, and modified on. So this vendor applicant ID, so the vendor name, right? The name of the vendor. So I'm gonna add like a new field right there. It's gonna be name. Type is gonna be in text, right? That's text. The phone number is actually going to be text as well, right? a new field again. I'm gonna add email. Email is also text. Date applied. When is actually applied, it's gonna be date, right? Actually, let's make it date and time. Just whenever like the time and date, right? New field again, and the category ID, right? So instead of category, I'm gonna type the category ID here. Category ID. It's gonna be number integer, right? The data type just is actually we are actually storing the primary key of the category table. This is actually ID is actually 1 2 3 4. It's actually a number, and we could have like address line 1. Right, address line 1, that is a text. Address line 2, that's going to be a text as well. City, that's going to be text. States, it's going to be text. Zip code is a number, right? Number integer. That's it, right? And then one more field is active field is a flag, right? It's a Boolean field. It's going to be is active, right? It's going to be Boolean. All right, so it's going to be Boolean, but like I want to capture like is active, zip code, state, and everything, right? So now for vendor applicant, we have this guy, right? The vendor applicant ID, name, phone, email, date, category ID, right? So anything I missed? No, right? So now once you have this guy, right, then now I'm gonna click on next. Do I need to create like a relationship, right? So we can create created by user or like create modified by right now. Like we don't if you have actually record type already created for category or something, we can create a relationship for that, but we don't have that right now, right? So but we can still add like the relationship at the end, so that's going to be fine. But if you have like new relationship you want to add like based on the status ID, category, and everything, you can type that record type right here, and then you can easily configure it from here. But I will show you like once I create this table as well. I'm going to create like a relationship after, so you'll understand how we are actually creating a relationship. But this is actually even like when you are creating a table, you can create a relationship from here as well, right? Right. I'm gonna click next. All right, so it looks like this guy is fine, like it's kind of giving us like create data store the fields. There is no relationship, kind of like a view here. Relationship diagram is only for the users, so whoever created this, right? So Appian automatically get that. We can now it's a type it's time to just get like create table, preview database script, so we can easily click on here and then see download the database script on this side. So if I open this guy, so whatever we created it's actually automatically Appian give us the database script. So I can actually copy this, right? So I can copy this guy, and then if I'm not actually willing to create this guy, right? Or like if wherever like you are actually joining on the company, they are actually not actually creating the table like this, right? So they ask you just to bring the script, just get that, like whatever we got right there, right? We gonna this is the way, right? So we can easily bring that script here on Appian, and we can easily click go. So that's it. Like when I click go, then automatically will create a table for us. But let me finish it from here, right? So I'm gonna save change. All right. So we can download the script here. It's fine, close this guy. Right, so let me see. So we have this vendor applicant table, right? VM2 vendor applicant table will be created here. Let me just search it. Let me see, like if it's actually created, right? So like VM2 vendor applicant record type is created. We already have this guy already created on the database. So if I search it, filter it right here. Now we have it right there. All right. So now, like if I go here, like I see vendor applicant ID, phone, date, and everything, right? So if I see the structure, whatever I created, it will be right here, right? So if you see the data type, I mentioned like text there, text, right? In the database, it's actually varchar, and varchar. If it's daytime, it's daytime, integer. If you see here, is active field, let's I make it like a boolean, but in database, we call it like bit1, right? So, but now our record type is actually ready to use. So the same way we can create, like for example, like, at least like let's create one for vendor category, right? It's gonna be vendor category. Right, vendor categories. For this vendor categories, all right, so the same thing, I'm gonna add 1, 2, 3, 4. Admin, it's gonna be admin role, W1, 2, 3, 4. All these are groups for viewer, right? So I'm gonna save this. Same way, you know, it will ask you like tell us about your data, right? So you're gonna ask like tell us about your data, and now I'm gonna create like from scratch, right? So I'm gonna click next. So like now, like I'm gonna actually show you like ID, created on, created by, right? So like this is gonna be vendor category ID, vendor category ID. Now like it's gonna be only the name, right? Like here on the vendor table, I need like category ID, name, description, and created by, right? And is active field. That's fine. So I'm gonna add here name of the category, text is gonna be description, and it's gonna be is active field in case if we decide to delete it, right? So this is actually the category, right? So that's the only thing we need, right, for the category category record type, right? So I'm gonna capture all these things, right? So now, instead of like creating this right now, I'm gonna actually generate the script, preview this script. Okay, I'm gonna run the script for the backend. So you will understand, like, okay, if because for the vendor applicant I created from there, right? But here I'm gonna actually run this, like I'm gonna search this table. I'm gonna actually right there, like vendor category. I'm gonna create this table. First I will search it, right? If I created from Appian, right? So nothing, right? Nothing created, nothing, no database, no table is there, right? So, but I generated this script from Appian. I just copied from there. You can bring it on this database side, just or like give to your database team and click go, right? Automatically, then it's actually your table is actually executed. If I filter it again, right? So my table is actually vendor applicants, category is going to be here, right? Vendor category, category ID, name, description is active field right there. So now I'm going to go back, right? Now I'm going to go back. Like I don't want to save this guy, but now like I don't want to like start from the scratch, but I want from just directly get it from my from the database, right? Because now I created my table on the database, right? so I don't need to create it from Appian. So here I can search it from here on the table. Yes, it's right here. It's automatically give me like vendor applicant name, description is active, created by, and everything, right? So click next, all right, and click next again. Then you see the field like the mapping, the source field, whatever the mapping we have, the record field types and display name, and then click on finish. All right, it's going. All right. So now like we have like in a vendor category, like right here. Let's say record type already have this guy. So let me save this. If I'm not saving it, actually I'm gonna lose it. So I'll save this guy. So if you see here now this guys have only like it has like category ID, but now I can relate it to this category record type. So I can go here, right? So if you see here, like there is an add relationship. So I want to relate this vendor applicant based on that category because I want to store like one, like on this table, but on one on the category table is actually pending or approved, right? So I'm going to click on add relationship, and I'm going to type my vendor category, right? I'm gonna type my type. This is gonna be vendor category right here. So I'm gonna click next here. So now like one vendor, what is the relationship between the vendor and category, right? So we can have like multiple category, like it can be like actually one-to-many relationship, right? Right. So it's like from vendor, okay, from the vendor applicant, like to category, like what is the relationship between that, right? So one ID can be like multiple related to that multiple vendor category, right? So for example, like staples, can be electronics, Best Buy electronics, just some gigs or something like kind of electronics. So it's gonna be like one-to-many relationship from category to vendor, but like from for vendor applicant to category, it's gonna be many to one, right? So many records can be related to one specific source, right? So for that, so we're gonna select many to one relationship. Many to one relationship. We're gonna select from many to one relationship the category ID is the field, right? I need to relate with this guy, and it's gonna be vendor category ID is actually the primary key on the category table, and then click add. So now automatically I will see my relationship between the two tables, right? So you can easily relate vendor applicant to vendor category table there. It's going. So once actually it's finished, so next class we're gonna do we're gonna create just for the status and vendor applicant as well. And once we have the vendor applicant and everything's categorized, so we're gonna start looking on the different action views and everything like that, right? So now we see I added like one relationship. This is gonna be like one to many to many to one from vendor to applicant to categories, kind of many to one relationship. Yeah. Any question, guys? I'm gonna save it. So. Right, if you don't have any question, right, if you don't have any question, yeah, let's conclude our class. It's already 8 p.m. I'm gonna put like my recording on the SharePoint. I know like a few students as well actually not show up today, so I'm gonna put it there. So, but if feel free to give me a call and ask me a question, like if you are actually stuck or something accessing the database or accessing your environment or something, just give me a call. I will try to help. Right, so I'm gonna stop recording.